Moms, I love this podcast today. This conversation with therapist Anna Richter shares a creative way to connect with your kids in a unique direction that I never thought of before. I am so glad you're here. Hello, moms. Welcome to the Front Parking Spot podcast. I am so glad you're here. I'm Jennifer Bosma, wife, mom, grandma, former teacher for 23 years, and now a Christian children's book author and your podcast host. Are you a faith-based mom trying to live out a Christian life for your family? Do you want to learn more ways that you can have power over your child's spiritual growth? Inside this podcast, you will find tried and true ideas to grow in your faith and be the best wife and mom you can be. So listen in as you're cleaning up, doing the drive, or matching that sock, and be encouraged to know that God has his front parking spot set aside for you. Hello, moms, and welcome to the Front Parking Spot podcast. Today, I have Anna Richter. She is a therapist who uses theater and creative arts to help clients reclaim their story. She recently launched her own practice focused on helping teens and adults heal from trauma and relational wounds. Relationships are central to her work, and she strives to help every client feel seen, known, and cared for. With a background in play therapy, Anna also enjoys supporting parents as they navigate the important work of raising children. She has found that all people, from young children to adults, need support to thrive and can benefit from more opportunities to play, explore, and create. Anna is a mom of 3 and a military spouse outside the therapy office. She loves a good story, traveling to new places, and spending time with her loved ones outdoors. You can read more about her practice at annarichtertherapy.com. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you so much.
I am so glad to have you. What we were just talking before the show started, you are something that moms really need. Tell us what you do.
Yeah, so currently I work remotely as a therapist and I work with teens and adults. And I view my role as walking in partnership with people. So, whatever they come with, whether it's trauma or they're struggling with a parenting challenge, I'm there to partner with them and help support them through the things they're walking with.
That is amazing. I know so many situations when people may pop up and say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" Or they lost a loved one. And, and I'm to know that your therapy exists, that people can go. It's okay to go to therapy and it's okay to read, to not just get a book, but to actually seek you out. What do you do what would you do in a therapy session, Anna?
That is a great question. So, I am both a drama therapist and then I also do more traditional talk therapy. And so, the way I work really depends on the person in front of me. So, if somebody is more comfortable talking, we just really focus on building a relationship together and getting to know each other. And from there, I'll use different interventions. Like, let's say they're really struggling with their thought patterns and they have a lot of negative thoughts and beliefs about themselves. We might really focus on that. But if they're in a space where they're feeling like, man, I'm a mom and there's no space for me to be me and I just kind of want to connect back to myself, we might do some creative exploration to help them have that space to be them.
I love that. And I love because moms have to know it all, have to do it all, have to kind of have the answers to all. And sometimes moms just need that help and need an outlet.
Yes. Yes. I think it's so important that moms feel like they have help available because we're all navigating everyday new situations. Like you've never parented a toddler before you parented a toddler. And why would we know exactly what to do in every situation we encounter as parents?
And and every day something will change, and you're like, okay, I used to have the answers for this and now I don't. I was just talking to a friend yesterday who was talking about the challenge of raising tweens, the 12-year-olds. And I know you're getting close to that with your oldest. And she was just saying, it was so easy when they were little. And Anna has a spectrum. She's got the tweener and then she's got the little toddler. When they're little, they are, it's all physical. Everything you're doing for them is physical. You're helping their physical needs. You're feeding them. You're putting them to bed. You're doing baths. You're doing that type of thing. But as I get older, it goes into the mental realm. And it's not so easy. And this same mom was saying, it was so easy when they were little. Now I'm getting into she's a 12-year-old. And now things are just not as easy because they're asking these hard questions. So how do you navigate that with moms?
Yeah, that's great. I actually love working with tweens because they are so interesting and they have so much going on. I mean, for parents, I think it's twofold. So sometimes I do work with moms that's really focused on the mom and how she's doing in her life and whatever it is she's got going on. Sometimes I do parent coaching where it's really focused on a particular challenge that they're having with a child and we really work together in partnership to figure out how to navigate that. So if a mom's coming to me and she's saying, I am struggling with this new developmental phase, I don't know what to do. My kid is totally different. First, we kind of assess like, how's the family doing? What's going on in the family? And focus again on that relationship, like getting to know you and your family. And then we'll talk about some different strategies. Maybe we'll talk about child development and normalize some of those changes and talk about tools and strategies to navigate, yeah, how to show up for your child emotionally when their emotions are going all over the place.
Right. And I know and we had just talked too about there's the 4 C's in parenting. And you probably already know this because you're a therapist, but the first phase when they're little is the caretaker. You're the caretaker of everything they need. Then you're the cop when they get a little bit older, telling them no, what they can do, what they can't do. Then you're the coach when they're getting into the tween and teen years. And then if you're in my stage, I'm the consultant. And as a consultant, as an older, mom and grandma, the question is, do I hug, help, or hear you? Because when you're older like me, I'm in the stage that I still think my kids are little and I still think I have to like solve their problems. But no, I'm the consultant. Do you want to hug? Do you want help? Or do you want me to hear you? So that was a cool thing I had just heard.
Yeah, I love that framing. That's so helpful.
The 4 C's. Tell me about, because I remember when you talked about the drama therapy. What would a drama therapy look like?
So, drama therapy is so amazing because it's really versatile. When you think of the theater, we can bring music into it, we can bring writing or poetry into it. So, it looks different with different people. But two things that I think are really unique about drama therapy are first, that it can be embodied. So, we can do work not just from like talk therapy or talking about problems, but really experience things that are going on in your life, maybe through role play or improvisation. And more research is showing that trauma lives in the body. So having interventions available in therapy that allow us to be in our bodies is a really helpful way to address that. And drama is also, as an art form, really experiential. So again, we can bring problems into the room in a safe way where I'm there to keep it safe and make sure that it's not overwhelming, but where we're not just talking about things theoretically, we can actually address the emotions that come up for you in different situations.
So do you use a lot of drama therapy with adults or like teenagers more?
Really with all. So I have a background doing play therapy, and that is more focused on younger kids and tweens and teens, but drama can be useful for any age. And for adults, it might not be drama therapy every session, all session, but we might do a writing exercise or an art exercise to help you think about something in a different way, maybe look at a problem from a different perspective. So it's something that I really weave together with other techniques, but I found that a lot of adults have been able to engage with things in a totally different way when they're working creatively.
So do you give them, I mean, I used to love drama. I used to do plays in high school. So I'm thinking like, do you give them like a skit? Do you say, okay, you're walking into a convenience store. They don't have what you're looking for. How do you react? I mean, do you give them like a scenario?
That's such a good question because I think sometimes when people hear that I'm a drama therapist, their first thought is like, "Oh my gosh, is she going to make me act out my trauma or something?"
Right,
This
right, right.
sounds scary. No, it's really I'm very collaborative with clients, so it's always done with their comfort. If they're not comfortable doing something, I'm not going to make them. Sometimes we do things like improv games to help people loosen up, get a little flexible, but very often it looks like exploring things from their life creatively. So it's not necessary, but we do sometimes use stories, whether it's plays, movies, books, whatever stories they resonate with, to explore points of resonance in their own life. So maybe there's a story they're like, man, this story is just speaking to me lately. And we can explore, well, where do you find yourself in this story? What about it do you feel connected to?
Yeah. I remember with students when I would see them and let them color. And you always wondered about the child that just picked the black crayon and just made really heavy drawings, like solid lines and very like kind of abstract, but very, very not happy. Then you have another little child next that's picking up the blues and making the sun and making the green grass. Do you do any like assessments like that? Say, here, draw a scene that you can relate to. Do you do anything like that with your clients?
So, yes, through drama, absolutely. I integrate art activities into my work, but since I'm not an art therapist, I'm careful not to do assessment with art activities like
Right.
that.
Right.
But absolutely, I think that's such a beautiful illustration of how people express their feelings through art. Sometimes it's easier to pick up that black crayon and make really heavy strokes than it is to say, I'm really angry or scared or sad, and this is really hard.
Okay. So for the mom who's listening, who is maybe having a challenge with their 12-year-old son, what would you tell her to do? Or even something you would do because you're a therapist and you're also a mom. I remember when I was a teacher, I would be doing some fun teaching things I would do in my classroom with my kids. Are there any things that a mom can do that to kind of just like drama therapy 101 to kind of just try with her son or daughter?
Absolutely. I think a lot of drama therapy and play therapy is about being connected to your loved ones and having play together. So I sometimes will give families activities like an improv game that they can play together in the car. And it's really low stakes. And it's just a way to foster some connection time so that you're not like sitting your 12-year-old boy down and saying, tell me everything you feel right now.
And they're
Because
not
it's
going to
not
tell you anything.
fun. Yeah, they're not going to say anything
No.
because that's how 12-year-old boys communicate how they're feeling. But the more we can foster connection with our kids, the more safe they're going to feel coming to us with hard things. The other thing that I always try to really, really emphasize is like, let's give our kids tools for processing their emotions. Let's give them language to use to describe what they're feeling so that they know a little bit more acutely what's happening inside of them. And then maybe give them a tool like a journal or say, hey, you look like you're pretty heated. Why don't you go take a walk around the block to cool down? So helping them learn both how to identify their emotions and then how to manage those emotions when they get overwhelming.
Okay, so what's one thing that a mom can do that you do maybe with your kids when there's an argument, a sibling like, hey, I wanted that first, or, it can be any scenario, but I'm thinking of the mom right now who's dealing with her kids who are fighting or bickering or, any of those. Do you have like a go-to that helps you?
Oh man.
Probably a lot.
On the day. And it's not always something I navigate perfectly because parenting is 24/7, right? But I think something that is really important for me is regulation. So clearly, if my kids are bickering with each other, if everybody is really angry and irritated, they're not regulated. So they're not really in a space to receive new information and learn something and like come to a great. So really, we try to calm down and connect. And then we try to figure out, okay, how do we deal with this fight? Like, how can we work this out?
Good. Yeah. Because trying to reason with someone who's really upset, it's not going to go well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's that whole idea of connect before you correct. Like, how can we connect and come back to a place where we're a little bit more regulated? And then we can figure out how to correct what's happening.
Okay, I'm writing that down. Okay, listeners, it's connect before you correct. Okay, I love that. So your child's freaking out. How would you connect with them when they're upset?
It really depends on the kid. So
Yeah.
like you knowing your child, I think for my kids, touch can be really helpful. Like just putting a hand on the back,
Yeah.
giving or inviting them to have a hug. But sometimes that's not what they need. Sometimes they need a little minute by themselves to feel their intense feelings and then they can come back out and seek help when they need it.
I love that because what you said, you have 3 kids and they're all so different.
So different. Absolutely.
Yes, and I think you as a parent, especially if you just have one child, you think all your kids are going to be the same and they're just not. And I mean, but that's how we are as moms. Like if we were all the exact same, life would be boring.
Yeah, life would be boring. And like, I really believe that moms have the kids they have for a reason. Like, we are the parent our children need, and
Mhm.
our children are the children that we need to grow and learn from.
Absolutely. God is so good. He has it all picked out. Whether you have, I have all girls, and you have two boys and a girl. So you have both. But I love how when people get too worried about like when they're expecting a baby, or they're worried about like what sex is my child going to be, just rest assured, God has your best plan in works. Like He has all plans, and He knows the perfect baby and babies for your family. I love that. Well, if anything else, Anna, this is so good because I think as moms, I've had a lot of guests on the show that have written books and on, all different topics that a lot of them like with stress and, bipolar. We've had some with depression, but moms don't have a lot of time to read books. So I love the connect before you correct, and doing what would be something that the mom could do. Back to the drama therapy, I'm still kind of stuck on this. If you're just trying to figure out if your child's sad or something, they come home from school and they're sad and they're not talking, and something is going on with them. What would be something you would do to try to see if you can connect with them?
Oh, I love that. Sometimes I have people draw like a drama mask, and I'm like, okay, show me how your day was in this mask. Draw me a picture of what you're feeling right now. And sometimes I love to do two masks where it's like, show me the good part of your day and show me the hard part of your day. If they're not a drawer, I really love getting people into their bodies. So maybe inviting them to do a movement-based game, like, okay, let's hop like a bunny or let's jump like a kangaroo. Just kind of getting them back connected to their bodies can also open them up to share a little bit about what's going on in their hearts.
I love that, because some kids don't talk, and something's up as a mom.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's where using creative tools like drawing or writing might feel safer for some kids. And I think there's power too in observing what you see. Like, hey, I can tell by your face right now that you seem pretty upset. And it's okay if you don't want to talk about it right now, but I just want you to know that I'm available if you want to talk about this.
That's so good. And especially I think if like I have daughters and they're way more talkative, but sometimes I've heard sons aren't as talkative. Now, is your daughter more talkative than your sons?
If you get if you get my 7-year-old in the right mood, he will chat all day long. But generally, yes, I would say she more readily, like, he needs a snack, and he needs a minute before he wants to unpack his school day when he comes home.
Right, right. And they get hangry. They're like, I'm hungry.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He's great. Oh, wow. Anna, tell you, we talked before we got live with the podcast, but you can see patients in Washington and Florida. But how else can parents and moms and dads and families, anyone listening, how can people find you to learn more?
Yeah, so you can learn more on my website, annarichtertherapy.com. And I have a page on my website that talks about drama therapy and some of the other tools that I use. So if you're curious about that at all, I invite you to come check it out. I'm also on Psychology Today, and my contact information is also on my website. So if you live in Washington or Florida, I'm licensed in those places. But if you just want to connect and maybe ask a question, I always invite that connection.
I love that. Oh my goodness. And this is such a different realm. I love because this is something that I don't know anything about. And when we met and I knew that you're a therapist and what you're doing with families, and the connection here for this podcast is so good because it is a different avenue, to explore, especially, and that connect before you correct. I love that. Well, Anna, thank you so much for being here on the Front Parking Spot podcast. It was a joy to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
Yay. Thank you, moms, for being here today. Well, mamas, thank you so much for joining in. I know you are super busy doing all the things that can consume your day, but you took a couple of minutes to learn how God wants to build you up in your faith, family, and life, and He wants to applaud you for this. Please subscribe and review my show. This helps other moms tune in as well. I'd love to connect with you on Instagram at Front Parking Spot, on Facebook at Front Parking Spot Mom Community, or my website at jenniferbosma.com. Have an Ephesians 3:20 type of day, mamas, and be encouraged as you go for the front parking spot in your life today. God bless.